This is the Tomorrow Podcast. I'm Kevin Robinson, as always, Donnie McGinnis. Yo, we got a special treat in the house today. We got local legend. We got Frank Jackson in the house. This man, if you recognize the name, you grew up in Utah, you know that name. Frank, how you living?
Donnie dunked on him every day of the week.
Yeah, that's right. There's a small rivalry here. Yeah, I heard about that. What's up, Frank? How you doing?
Dude, I am wonderful. I'm really stoked to be here. I'm just grateful for every day and for opportunities to speak mind and speak truth and share a little bit of my little journey and path that I've been on.
Dude,
so I'm stoked to be here.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
We're privileged, dude. We appreciate you taking the time. We met, what was it, a week or two ago?
Yeah.
And instantly found some energy and some synergy,
Totally.
and we said, "Yo, let's get this guy on the podcast here, man, and do ourselves a favor and get Frank up on here, man." So,
No,
dude, we're
it.
stoked. I personally, man, I've been jacked about this for the past couple weeks, Donnie and I guess for the past week and a half since we set this up.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm a huge basketball fan.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be like a massive NBA fan. Now I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't
I'm
know.
with-
Dude,
Dude,
hey, look, man, I'm from Northeast Ohio.
I'm with you right there. Same energy, dog.
I'm from Northeast
And,
Ohio.
yeah.
I'm a LeBron guy. Like, I love
Yeah.
LeBron to the day I die. Dude, LeBron's my favorite person. I'm married for 15 years. LeBron's
Mamba
my
for
favorite
life,
person on earth,
dude.
man.
Mamba for life.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
about
love
that.
Kobe. But yeah, dude, so first of all, before we get in the NBA and
Yeah.
talk all that stuff, Frank, for the guys or for the listeners who don't know you, you're born in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Did you say you spent some time in Maryland?
So
or-
I was
tell us a
born
little
in
more.
Silver Spring, Maryland.
Okay.
Just right outside of DC.
Okay.
My pops is from there, and we moved to Hood River, Oregon when I was 10.
Okay.
So I lived in Hood River, Oregon from 10 to 12. It's like a beautiful town right on the base of Mount Hood, and that's kind of where I really fell in love with the outdoors and started really tapping into my own flow and my own energy and my own way.
Yep.
And so from 10 to 12, lived in Hood River. And then I fell in love with skiing. We'll
You're a
talk.
skier.
We'll go back to that. Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
right? You got Donnie's antennas. Donnie
So,
loves
dude,
some skiing.
we'll have to rip.
Yeah, that'd
So
be fun.
such a
That'd be
great
fun,
time, man.
yeah.
And so from 10 to 12, it was funny because I told my dad, I said, hey, I don't want to play hoops this winter. I want to be on the ski team with my homie. And he was like, oh yeah. And then we moved a month later.
That's how he fixed that problem.
Straight up, and put me on every team. Yeah.
Son, I'm not gonna have you break your neck on the slopes. You got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, that's a good one for sure.
That's funny, man.
And so we ended up in Lehigh, Utah, which is funny because right in this area. So kind of every time I drive through here, I just always go back to 12-year-old
Get some nostalgia
Chunky
there.
Frank, doing his thing. And so lived in Lehigh until the 9th grade, and then we moved up to Lone Peak.
Okay.
So when I was my sophomore year, moved up to Lone Peak.
And that's where you went to high school.
That's where I went to high school.
Yep.
Powerhouse back then.
Dude, so my freshman year, this is cool. I was at Lehigh, and we stunk, bro. Like, I think we won one region game the whole year. Like, we were terrible. Like, really fun time. Shout out to Bobby B. Like, he was a great guy, head coach. And he let me he gave me a shot. So that year, we played Lone Peak. It was our last game, and I had like 30 on them. And that was the year they won the national championship.
Okay.
So it's funny.
And you were a freshman.
I was a freshman.
That's awesome.
14, and I just kind of come into, so my 8th grade year, I was kicked to B and C teams. Like, I wasn't from here. So it was very different.
Yeah.
Especially coming from the East Coast. And I remember, like, we'd walk into places and everyone would be staring at us, and I'd be like, Dad, like, why is everyone looking at us? And he'd be like, hey, don't worry about it, man. They just, they ain't as cool as us.
Yeah.
Played it off
that's right.
so smooth.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
My
Yeah,
dad's
for
the man.
sure.
Yeah.
But, definitely you were aware of it and noticed it. And so anyways, I after, the Lehigh thing, moved up to Lone Peak. Dude, I've totally lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
So you were talking about you put 30 up on
Oh,
on
yeah,
Lone Peak,
yeah.
right? And so,
So-
that was okay. Yep.
So put up 30 on Lone Peak. And it's funny talking to like TJ and Eric and Nick Emery about that because they got wrecked. I think they won the game by like 19. And it was so funny because we stunk that year, but we were the closest team to beat them, to beating them. So it was like kind of wild, So they just got wrecked by Q Lewis, by Quincy Lewis. And yeah, after that, I moved up my sophomore year because my dad was like, we can't stay here. Like,
Yeah.
we got to go in.
Trying to get you into competitive programs.
Absolutely.
Was that his mission?
Absolutely.
There?
And we'd already, we weren't even from, absolutely.
Have
And
to.
we weren't even from Utah. So like, we kind of moved around a ton as a kid. So I was never like tied in with a community.
Okay.
So we were like, what's the best way we could do this? And it was kind of it was a sacrifice. Like I didn't really want to do that or leave my buddies. And, I felt comfortable, but it's one of many times I've had to step out of my comfort zone to pursue something that was bigger than even me. So it was.
What's
I'm
that?
blessed.
It's probably good that it happened early. I mean, it set the tone.
Absolutely.
And look, your dad's on point. So I was reading up some of your stats in high school,
Yeah.
and so like as a sophomore, you were crushing. Junior, you were crushing. Like you were definitely doing these. You were doing dudes dirty, and so definitely a future. From your dad's perspective, future's bright.
Yeah.
Get you in the best program that you can. So what's up, man? You were here for a little while in Utah.
Yeah.
You committed to BYU.
Yeah.
But you didn't go to BYU.
No.
You went,
so
you went.
it was funny. So I'm even gonna go back. So like my 8th grade, dude, I was like 8th grade year, I was 5'6", 5'7".
Really?
Like just could move. I could move.
Yeah.
And I could feel it inside of me.
Yeah, yeah.
But it wasn't all there yet.
Okay.
Like my brain was saying do this, but my body was like, dude, come on, man.
Just didn't catch up. Yeah,
Like,
just wasn't there
We're
yet.
still riding. Like, you just got down here, G. Like, come on,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
And so I grew like 5 inches my 9th grade year.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I came back and I started yamming it on everyone. And
Awesome.
so that's when to my dad, I was like, let's just stop playing every sport. I played everything growing up.
Did you? Okay, I was going to ask
Like-
you multi-athlete. Yeah.
Everything. So I was, swim team, golf, baseball. Baseball was my first sport.
Okay.
And to this day, my dad's always like, that's your best sport.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I played baseball, football, basketball. When I turned, 14 and really started, I was like, oh, this is everything I've practiced on this little Tykes hoop from the age of 0 to, 12. Like I can do this now on a regular size hoop. I was
Yup.
like, we're going all in with basketball. And my dad was like, cool. So stopped playing football, stopped playing baseball, which was really tough. And my coaches would just always try to get me to play. But I knew like in this day and age, like, it stinks that there's not like there's not more multi-sport athletes.
Yep.
But, there's so much talent in this world. So you have to be hyper-focused on one thing to really, instill that discipline and
Yeah.
like that raw nature of competitive spirit. And that's where we'll even get into like going to Duke and stuff, how Coach K just pulls that out of you totally,
I want to talk about that because being in a recruiting meeting with Coach K has to be intense. But look, to your point, the Bo Jacksons, Deion Sanders of the world, these dual sport professional athletes, look, man,
That's
anomalies.
That's an athlete, bro.
No, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That is an athlete.
Yeah,
Like that's an anomaly. That's a unicorn right there.
Yeah.
But to your point, if you're trying to go pro, you can't be good at everything and great at nothing. You got to be hyper focused.
lock
So
in.
you're right. Like
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
totally.
So you've got to be able to sacrifice baseball, sacrifice
Yeah.
football, sacrifice all that other stuff.
Skiing, all
Shoot.
these things.
And look, when
friends,
you grow like 9
fashion,
inches in
all
a
these
summer,
things.
man, it's like you got to like reevaluate your priorities and focus on basketball. So that's what you did.
Yeah.
You decommitted from BYU, and here we are at Duke. Talk to me about your freshman year, man, because I think it was like your first game you got in, or the first game you started. Did you go up and put up 30 on them, or 26 or something like that?
in my freshman year at Duke,
Yeah.
it was what game was that? Honestly, I don't talk about this often, so I think of when I was 14 again or 15, and I was committed to BYU,
Yeah.
and we were kind of talking about
So
it.
you were committed at age 15 to BYU.
I was committed at 14, bro. That
Oh,
was my
wow.
first offer.
Okay,
And so
okay.
being a member and then coming to Utah, it was like a no-brainer. I was like, oh, I'm going to BYU. I grew up watching, Tyler Haws, watching Jimmer,
Yeah,
watching Brandon Davies, Charles Abuo. Like, these were my heroes. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
oh,
These
dude,
are your
this
boys.
is-
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro, going to the games. Like, it was, it was awesome. You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
a whole nother conversation. BYU fans are hilarious.
Oh yeah, they are. Oh, dude, they're a treat, man. Both football and basketball, they're a treat, dude. I love it. I love to go. Yeah, fan watching's great in Utah.
So
man.
my parents, that was it. Mission, Temple, boom, done. So 14, cool. And then I started going to these tournaments at, I was 15, 16, and we'd show up and the gyms would be kind of empty. And I'd be like, man, this kind of stinks. Like there's BYU in the corner, like, yeah, Frank. And I'm like, and all these, in the other games, you got kids that are, you got the Calipari's over there. And,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
Syracuse over there. And, Coach K's over there.
I'll catch your eye a little bit.
And I'm like, I'm playing against these kids and I'm really doing my thing. I'm like, wait a minute, Dad, we need to just see like where this could take us.
Mm-hmm.
And, my dad, it was tough at first because they were so, let's go this way.
Yeah.
But they were cool and he said, all right, you want to do it? You got to go tell him yourself. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I will drive you down there. You're going to go knock on coach's door and you're going to tell him that you're not going. And I was like, I'm 15. I'm like,
wow.
Heart just.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, come on, Pop.
Holy
like,
cow.
Why can't I just call him? You call him,
Yeah.
He's like, that's not how we do things. And so I went down there. And this is why I have so much respect for him and for Tim.
Who's the coach then?
So Dave Rose, Tim Lacombe, Terry Nashif. And Mark Pope was there too. That's crazy. He just took that Kentucky job. Yeah. So, I love Dave and I love Tim and Terry and all those guys because I told him I was scared to death. And Dave looked at me and said, Frank, if you want to be here, you go ahead and do your due diligence because you need to want to be here. And wherever you go, man, like we will always love you and support you.
Man, that's hard. That's hard. That's hard to say as a coach.
And it was
that ain't
crazy
easy.
because that was my first experience.
Yeah.
And then I never got that again.
Dude, I'm saying.
So it was a cool, like, wow, what a just dope dude.
Yeah.
Like this guy, I was terrified and he's making me actually feel comfortable.
Wow.
I was like, that says a lot about, especially that industry too, because it gets dicey, man.
Yeah.
Like, cutthroat. And so it was really cool that, they were.
They're not trying to lose you, fact. Like, I mean, there's do your due. We want you to be here. Like, if you want to be here, we want you to want to be here. Like, those are all the right things to say. You hope to hear that kind of thing from a coach.
And they knew how
Man,
good
that's
I
hard.
was too. So they were like, you do owe it to yourself.
Yeah.
Go ahead, kid. Like, go crazy.
Man.
And so it was like, to even have that, I'm really tight with Tim Lacombe. He's been a dude who I've looked back. I'm like, you know what? That's real. Like, I don't, accolade, whatever, like success, whatever. Like, that's raw feeling and emotion that is, a lot of kids, get taken advantage of.
Yeah, man.
That's a whole other
Yeah, man.
conversation.
Yeah, no, but you're not wrong.
Yeah,
and
so-
that's genuine. That's unique.
Yeah.
Good for
Thanks,
him, man. Good. That's awesome. You had that experience.
Yeah, he's the man.
So fast forward to me. You're at Duke freshman year. I think you averaged 10.5 points a game
Yeah.
freshman year.
It was solid, man.
I mean, that's. I mean, look, you're at Duke.
Yeah.
Did you
And
start freshman year?
so it's crazy, man. So I went in and we had 11 McDonald's All-Americans on the team,
Oh my gosh.
which it looks great on paper.
Coach K been recruiting that
Oh
year, man.
boy,
yo, that's
boy.
a lot.
We had
That's
a
tough.
class of all classes.
I don't know
Yeah.
what you had
Like
in
AP
water.
number one, like projected to win everything, and then we realized, oh wait a minute, there's only one basketball. Like,
Yeah.
we gotta learn how to share this rock
Ooh.
and learn how to, So I came in, dude, just clean slate, whole different ball game. Like high school, come on, man. You're supposed to.
You're the star.
You're supposed to
you're
have
the-
50.
yeah.
Go get your buckets,
You're
yeah.
supposed to, I'd take a nap, wake up, have 50. Like,
Yep.
clockwork. Loved it. And that's where I could paint and do my thing on the court. And I didn't have to say one word, but I said 1,000 words with my style and my flow. And
Love that.
kind of even tapping back into my skiing. Like,
Yeah.
that's what all skiing
Yeah,
is, dude.
yeah, for
and
sure.
you're so present because if you're not, you crash.
Yeah.
So like you have to be in that moment, and it's in that moment where you can really start to create. But then you start ramping up these levels, man. So this right to the ACC, the toughest conference in college basketball, the
It's
toughest
intense.
coach, the toughest. It was like
That is the Alabama
absolutely
No question. Yeah,
So it
it's
went from
pinnacle of college.
He came to Highland and shook my mother's hand and gave her a kiss and was great. And he's a church going man and he's a family man, and that's why I love him and he's so consistent. We came in the first day meeting, and he says, "You MFs, I've been here this many years. What? You come in and you're gonna mess that? I don't think so."
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my teammate like,
What
"Oh,
happened?
Shit.
Yeah, who's this guy? Yeah. What?
This just got super real.
Yeah.
Like, dang, that, you know, the boom, boom, boom.
Boom, oh,
One
yeah.
of those moments
sure,
again.
yeah.
But it was like, then we got to practice, and it was some of the most intense practices I've ever had, man. And from there, you just built. And of course, you hit so much adversity. Like, it was so new. I remember my first game in the ACC, we played at Virginia Tech. It was packed. I near pooped myself.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It was
Yeah, yeah.
just
Thrown up before the game.
and I don't even I've never even done that
butterflies, yeah.
before, but like, it was one of those things you never forget because the feeling was so raw. Like, your body doesn't forget those moments
Yeah.
where it's like, whoa, this is, the excitement kind of takes over that fear. Like, instead of being scared, it immediately, I've been able to turn it into, oh, word, all right, this is, there's a nice
arrived.
fat set coming in. Like,
We're here.
we ride,
Yeah,
like let's
yeah.
go.
Yep.
And that competitive, spirit and nature, I love it. And but then it's cool because you do have to find, the equilibrium. And
You gotta find some balance
Yeah,
with that,
absolutely.
man. Yeah, you gotta
And
find
that's
some
what
balance
I've,
with that.
done in my, try to in my life, and that's why I do so much. But yeah, man,
But you crushed it. You crushed it. Dude. I mean, you're a freshman, right?
Yeah,
And it's
so-
not. And I mean, again, super competitive program. It's not as if like you're able to, get in 30 minutes a game, right? Like, I mean, you're trying to just get
And
off.
that was tough.
Yeah, you're
Some
trying to-
games you're mid in, like I wasn't playing.
Well,
and
dude.
it was, and then as I said, it just kept kind of climbing that ladder. Like,
Yeah.
Would come into practice, and that's when would separate myself. I would just compete. Like, I cannot compete. That's why when people are like, oh, he doesn't care, he does this kind of weird. I'm like, when I'm on the court, I'm in that moment. Like, that, nothing else matters in that moment. And then the second I step off, it's back to life.
Yeah, you're doing your thing. Yeah.
I love life. I like basketball. I love life.
Yeah.
But I love what it teaches you to then bring into your life.
Sure.
So I just,
Yeah, I love that.
I stuck with it, and middle of the season, it was the year that it was the last year Grayson had with his tripping. Problem, stripping abilities.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
even know. That's a whole other,
Yeah, no, we're
I
with
love him
it.
so much.
Yeah, we're with
like,
it.
oh, he's the man.
Yeah.
Anywho, I kind of, I stepped into that starting role. And
This is still your freshman year?
yeah, freshman
Okay.
year. And it was like, I think it was like a couple games into the ACC. And we had a great year. It was fun. It was rough. And it's actually crazy, dude. We had a time where we had just lost to NC State at home. And Coach K was out because he had operation. And we showed up, or after the game, he was like, come to my house. And you don't ever go to coach's house.
Wow.
Like, you go on your visit, but like, you don't go over there.
He
And
said
so-
he said to you individually or to the team?
to the whole team.
To the team. Come to my
He
house.
said, "Oh no, if it was, I would have."
Oh, I 100%.
Going back to Utah,
Hey,
I would have
hang
hit
the
up the
shoes
other
up.
Coach
Yeah,
K,
yeah,
Krostoviak. I would have said, "Hey, I'm
Not
coming."
happening. Yeah, not happening. All right, so he's talking about the team. So he wants you guys to come to the
So
house.
yeah, right after
Wow.
the game, he said, "Come to my house." It's like 11 o'clock at night. This dude just had operation, like, and we're like, crap. We go in. He's like, "This is pitiful." He's like, "Go empty your lockers. You're not allowed in the locker room. You'll be at practice, at this time tomorrow. Get out of my house." And we're just like,
Wow.
It was so short, but it was like, that was what hit the most even. It was so short and just boom, to the point. Like, this is bad. Like, you guys, even to my point of like, we really needed to learn how to play as a team because we were very selfish. Not even, I look back and
Well,
I
it
did.
goes back to all those McDonald's all
You guys had a
Totally.
bunch of all-stars,
You guys
yeah.
were all individuals. You weren't.
And it's tough,
weren't
like,
working together.
if you're only together for a year, to have that, kind of camaraderie and that flow. And we got there, but with how that works, man, it just,
So
you're in and out,
Coach K's a savage, man.
Dude, so he
This-
ripped off. So we had Hanes white tees and XXX blue shorts from Walmart. He wouldn't even let us wear the Duke logo because he's like,
Wow.
What is this? Like,
Wow.
Like,
You're
take off my
He
jersey.
make
What
an
are you
impression,
doing?
man. Make an impression.
And so and we had those were the most intense practices. Yeah, I remember to this day. They were long, they were hard. We're diving on the floor,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
court
yeah.
burn, all that stuff.
Yeah, he's making an impact.
Yeah,
man.
but it woke us up and we made a run. We won the ACC. We won 4 games in 5 days, which was super rad. And like, I'll never forget that. It was super cool. And then we ran into South Carolina our second round in South Carolina. So it was a home game for them.
Okay.
It was crazy. And that was the year they went to the Final Four.
Oh, wow.
So they shot like 80% from the field, I think the first quarter.
Wow.
Or maybe even into the second.
That's tough.
So it was like.
That's tough.
We didn't even have like that bad of a game, but they were just so.
Just hitting everything.
And those are the worst because you're like, oh, that
Can't do anything.
Stinks, you know.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then, but yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
So 10.5 points-ish
Yeah.
at Duke. You decide forego sophomore year.
Yeah.
Let's jump into the big leagues,
Dude,
right?
that's a whole.
Oh, did you go? You went straight.
Dude, I went one and done, bro.
And you got
Impressive,
Oh, I
man.
appreciate-
That's
I appreciate
I
it,
actually
but it
didn't
was-
even know.
And you got
That's
snatched.
Yeah,
crazy
it's kinda
cool.
wild.
You got snatched in the first round, 31st to
So
Charlotte, right?
So I was the first pick in the second
First pick in
round.
the. I'm sorry,
We'll
30
get-
teams. Yeah,
we'll
31st
get
pick.
into
So
that.
first and the
So
second. Yeah.
My midway through my freshman year, I had a stress fracture in my foot, and it was kind of like you can either get this fixed, or you can just
See what
put
happens.
orthotic in it. Don't be a pussy. Just
Just go in there and do it. Yeah, just go in there and do it.
And I was like, and I'm like, yeah, let's play, coach.
Yeah,
Let's do it. I look back and I'm like, oh gosh.
yelled at
Anywho, so I was, played on a broken foot the whole year, and my adrenaline would just take over. But after, it hurt, and it was so funny, dude. We had like 9 dudes in a boot that year, so it was kind of there
Wow.
was something going on in the water.
Huh.
We did show up, May. So we got there really early, and we were an intense group, so we were just getting after each other, And so I go through the year, and the day before I have my first NBA workout, and that's where I was kind of like, yeah, let's go, because I'm gonna set up 20 workouts, and I'm gonna crush at least 2 or 3 of these.
Oh, absolutely.
Easy.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna get, we're gonna have a deal. Boom.
Yep.
I was like, let's do it. Like, this is cool. Did my time, learned how to play the game a little bit. All right. The day before my first workout, dude, I'm in the gym, broke my foot. I was like, oh, I'm toast. I was like, this is not good. This is not good. I just declared and it was crazy. The week before that, I had the combine where I crushed the combine. I finished top 3 in every category almost. And
Awesome.
Played. I think I played for a day. Had really, was doing well. Did my interviews, which is a whole nother thing. That's a crazy day.
Did you break your foot? That means now teams are saying, if I'm going to draft you, I'm not drafting you for this year.
No.
Potentially, I'm drafting you for the following year.
All
So
next
that's
year.
So that's rough.
Yeah, dude. So
Okay.
I was like, crap. So, so still went and did my interviews. So I
Yep.
traveled to 12 different cities in 2 weeks, and was rehabbing, and but just so much on my mind, man. It was a lot, especially at that age. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to rewind back to even my freshman year in the summer when I got there. And this will tie into my first teammate, Drew Holiday. His wife was having brain surgery at Duke University. So it's
Wow.
crazy how, dude, life's just full circle,
Yeah.
right? So we show up my freshman year, the whole Pelicans, for a week, we were scrimmaging them. So they come over, and because they wanted to visit Drew and his wife, and yeah, that was a big thing. And she was pregnant too.
Wow.
So crazy, right?
Wow.
Fast forward to the draft, I get a call. I'm like, I thought I was going 21 to OKC. And I remember the second it didn't happen, another
Oh, yeah.
to my I never felt that before. And so I got up, and I remember I walked up and I got in the bathroom. I was just like, didn't know what to think. I remember my dad followed me, and he came back, and he gave me a hug, and he was like, just have faith. It's good. It's fine.
Yeah.
We went back down, and I get a call. My agent's like, dude, New Orleans, the Pelicans, the team, that came and played us, they're going to draft you at 31. And they had the 39th pick. So they
Bumped up to
they paid,
Oh, that's cool.
it was Charlotte. They paid Charlotte some money to have the 31st pick.
It's awesome.
To then take me.
That's so cool.
And I was just like, they were like, we saw you in the summertime when we came and played. And Alvin Gentry, the coach, he's like, I liked you. And I remember I killed it. I was playing so good. But then freaking Emil Jefferson, my captain at the time, he kept kicking me off the court that they were playing on because he just,
Yeah.
I love Emil, and he was just picking on me.
So they remembered you. And,
So they remembered
and
from-
take a risk on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
And I
awesome.
was like, no way. This is crazy.
That is so
One of the most stressful nights of my entire life. It's so funny. People are like, oh, draft night, how was it? I was like, no, it draft night was not it. Like it was so all over the place, and even going back, like you get these promises, or you're looking. No one knows.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, anything can change.
Totally, yeah.
And that's what even the professional level at in sports, in business, in anything. Like you have to be so willing to adapt and to change and.
Oh, it's drop of a dime, man. Yeah, there's. I mean, the loyalties are a lot of times a little bit shallow in the professional world. And, promises that they're usually last an hour, typically. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so you're not wrong. And I believe so. You went through. So you get drafted in
31 to the
Pelicans.
Pelicans.
Yep, Pelicans
Yeah.
got you, and. You're in rehab the first year. Is that kind of what happens, right?
Yeah,
So you
dude.
make your debut into the NBA the following year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I look back, it was such a blessing, man, to go from this college level that was so different to now you're going to a pro level, which is out of this world.
another
Like the minute I got into the NBA, I was like, this is not it. I'll be honest. For me personally, for the energy and the spirit and the vibe, like I've been able to meet some amazing, beautiful souls.
Yeah.
But it was a different world, man, that like you don't know exists until you're in it and you feel it. And it's like, that's why you have to be rooted in something, man, because you have to come back to that equilibrium,
Frank, do you look back at that situation and think, man, I should have stayed one more year at Duke? Do you ever have those thoughts? Or you're like, no,
So
that was the plan, and I was
Dude.
all in.
I think Morrissey says, he's like, if you're not living, like if you can't make a movie out of your life, like you're not living.
Yeah.
So I look back and I'm like, dude, this is the most rad story ever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is so sick.
Sure, yeah.
And I always definitely think like, oh, dude, what if I stayed back and I went to the University of Utah? Oh,
Yeah,
who knows? Like,
for sure.
shot the ball 25 times a game. You look at like a Markelle Fultz, went to Washington, won like 8 games, but got drafted first
Yeah,
because
no
he
doubt.
could, was able to do his thing.
No
And
doubt.
I always tell guys like, you looking to go do your thing, like somewhere where you're gonna. But for me, man, like I just grew up, and I'm so blessed to have a dad and a mom who understood like the importance of making hard decisions, even when like it's the last thing you want to do.
Big part of life, man.
Exactly. And
Big
it's
part of
through
life.
those decisions, like, you get shown your true divine ability and power and strength. And through that, like, by the way you live, like, that's your message, that's your story. Like, you don't have to say anything. Like, we're blessed to have, like, a voice and, like, to smell and to hear.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you throw yourself into living, bro, it speaks for itself. Like a city that is set on a hill, it can't be hid. So I'm like, I'm so blessed to come from, a root and a divine from my creator that's given me this ability to like, you know what? Let's take that road less traveled.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of smooth over here and this would be great. But I look back and you put me on paper, bro, of how my journey was supposed to go. It went the complete opposite. Like straight up, dog.
Yeah.
And so, people from the outside looking in are like, oh, what's happening to this guy, whatever. But I'm like, this is the most beautiful path because if I went that way, I don't know if I'd be alive.
Yeah.
Straight up, man.
Dude, it's funny you mentioned that, Frank. So I think it's human nature to want to take the path with least resistance, right? Like most human beings are geared towards like, yo, man, that's the beaten path. Like let's roll that way.
Yeah.
But it's guys that are geared with a different mindset like you that take that take those paths less traveled.
Yeah.
That open up new gateways for everybody.
Yeah.
To open up new abilities for everybody, new belief systems
nice
for
of you to say.
people,
That's
and
cool.
maybe the guts to go out and do something different.
Totally.
I mean, a lot of times I feel like I want to stay in a box. I feel like I want to stay where it's safe, where I know my way around. But it's stories like this and individuals like you to make me feel like, nah, man, let's take a peek outside and
love that.
see what it looks like.
That means a lot.
Dude,
Thanks, man.
let's talk about this here, man,
Yeah.
because you mentioned the transition from college to the NBA, and you mentioned like, yo, this was like kind of a
Night
little bit
and
of
day.
culture shock, right?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Culture shock.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, full disclosure, we talked about this a little bit before the show. I love basketball, man. Like I loved it my entire life. I was a hydration specialist for my teams in high school.
Okay.
dude,
The
yeah,
hydration specialist. I'm over here thinking like, what the hell is a hydration specialist?
No, it's true, dude. Hey,
I love that.
I could have went collegiate.
That's
Dude, I
amazing.
had
Coulda
aspirations for
went
pro. Yeah, that kept everybody
Hydration
hydrated, man.
specialist.
Yeah.
That's
Keep these boys hydrated, man. That was my
Absolutely.
mission. But I love the game. Love some basketball.
Yeah.
I used to like absolutely love, like glued to the NBA. All right, so I'm from
yeah,
Northeast
dude.
Ohio.
Nice, man.
I graduated high school in 2002. LeBron graduated in 2003.
Oh, dude.
LeBron's from Akron,
Yeah.
St. Vincent, St. Mary.
Saw the whole thing.
Like,
Yeah.
LeBron is my. I mean, look, we've never met. I mean, in my head we have, but we never met. We never met in person. But dude, LeBron's my guy. And I say that from not just from a basketball level. Like I fell in love with him watching him play basketball.
Yeah.
But dude, I love how the man carries himself. And look, there's mixed people in Utah. Like they're the biggest LeBron haters in the world. I don't know why. They should hate Jordan way more than LeBron.
Okay.
All right.
We might have to.
like,
We might have to come back another episode.
yeah,
'Cause I'm saying I don't know, dude. I'm a big Jordan guy, dude.
you love Jordan.
I'm a big Jordan.
Hey,
guy.
look, man.
I'm a big Kobe guy.
I love Kobe
You know what? I'm a
too.
big Steph guy.
Hey man,
And then maybe I don't even LeBron. Well, maybe another time.
Hey, see, look, I get it. Like guys here, guys in Utah don't typically love LeBron. And here's the deal, dude. Look, man, I like Steph Curry now. Steph's a Cav killer, man. I hated Steph.
Yeah,
Hey, Steph is a
but
Cav
That's how you
killer.
know that he was the greatest, though.
Hey,
Or
he
one of
is
the
so
greatest.
good.
One of the
He's
greatest.
look, man, all time discussions and whatnot. Like, dude, Steph's underrated.
He transcended the game.
Dude,
he made the
he
three.
did.
He made the three a
undeniable.
thing.
It's undeniable.
So to me, it's like if you transcend the game, Jordan transcended the game. Kobe transcended the game.
Yeah.
And I do think. You ever seen Surf's Up, bro?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies.
Okay. You know, like, Tank, I'm number one.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's who I think LeBron is. He's like, Tank, I'm the chosen one. I'm number one.
you're getting
I'm
under
Tank.
Kevin's
No,
You know?
skin. No,
and then I kind
look.
of go to like Cody Maverick, and I see like more of like Mamba, Flo, Bruce Lee, Water.
Yeah.
Like, and
Hey.
I just think of the jumpers, dude. Like Jordan's jumper.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so pure.
Oh, yeah.
Steph, pure.
Oh, beautiful.
LeBron, I'm Tank.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
that's
hey.
what I think of. Like,
Hey, dude, look,
But I get it.
No, for the record, after this podcast, we'll never talk again. No, I'm kidding. No. Dude, it's all good. Look, this is what makes basketball and sports beautiful, man. Is people can all have their own bag and their own opinion, and I'm with that. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't love Jordan, respect this
Yeah,
cat.
yeah,
And at the same time, Kobe, like, dude, I love Kobe.
Yeah.
Like I do. I love basketball, man.
Yeah, totally.
But
Well, let's
I
get
was
into it,
born
yeah.
in Northeast Ohio, and I watched LeBron play, and dude, we should have an offsite conversation. Maybe get back on one of these and talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like I get where you're at on brute strength, and I get where you're at on like maybe a little bit more finesse in Kobe's world, and everybody gets all up in Jordan's like 6 MVPs, and he's like this
six
mindset. and
finals,
whatnot.
6 for 6. I don't know.
But before, but before we change this down, I just want to plant the seed to everybody who's listening back here. If you've never seen a basketball game from 1984, if you've never seen a basketball game from 1984, go home, YouTube it, and then come talk to me about Jordan played with the best athletes that ever been on planet Earth.
Okay.
All right? Because guys were dribbling the ball like this.
I get that.
And,
Okay, guys also had a job in the summer. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have like we're in a different time, and this is why I always I go back and I have so much respect for my elders because like they lived in a time that was so unique and
Totally.
different, and they built the ground for us to then
Yep.
train all year long.
Gotta
to-
pay homage to these
sure.
guys.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Gotta
So
pay
I'm-
homage to
I'm-
these guys.
Those conversations, I'm like, it's tricky to me because I'm like, well, you could play the what if, but I'm like, what if Jordan, had supplements and these things and trained this way?
Yeah.
And there was, bro, it was, you could hand check like crazy back then.
Okay.
You can't even touch a guy. Boop.
I want your
LeBron's
Frank. I
like,
want your Frank. I want your opinion on this. I gotta ask you because, brother, dude,
I love this.
look, man, you're an NBA player, brother.
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
you've seen, you're up close and personal.
Yeah,
You've seen
totally,
this.
totally.
All right. So check this out. I want to go like just a very, very simple analogy here. Okay, let's take the year 1980.
Yeah.
1980. Okay. If you were to put a player, let's call him Blake Griffin,
Oh, so he would dominate, bro.
in the league in 19.
He'd have 100 in a game.
Hey, no, for real.
Yeah.
Blake
agree.
Griffin, he would people wouldn't know how to look at him.
Yeah.
They would look at, they'd be like,
Yeah.
dude, is he an alien?
Yeah.
You,
It's just different time.
it is so different. Even go like lesser extent, right? Take a guy like Zach LaVine.
Oh, dude, he's
No,
one
no.
of my.
Now look, Zach LaVine's dude. He's the man. But like even right now, Zach LaVine's like what? Like a top 40 player in the league, top 30 player in the
Which is
league.
interesting because when people ask me, who's the toughest guy you've ever had to guard?
Oh, that
I've had
dude's
to
a
play. I've
handful.
had to play him multiple times. him and Brad Beal, to me, the way that they're so shifty.
Oh,
but,
dude.
But their pace is like, it's so beautiful though. And like that to me, I go back to like, you can look at a guy and you can do the eye test. I could walk in the gym and I could tell you 2 seconds who's who.
For sure.
By the way that they're running, by the way they tie their shoes, bro. That's how like that's how I think. Like in my world, like that's I go down. I want to get down to the layer.
You can just see it.
And that's where like that kind of Mamba mentality. We're so blessed to have him in our lifetime to show you that like he was the greatest. He was the best at the time, but he was like, how do I get better?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
dude,
how can I be better? And that's where like Jordan, even to this day, how can I be better? Like he throws everything into his golf. He's like, how can I be the best version of myself?
Dude,
And like, to me, it's
that's
just
just
like,
cool.
I
love
love
those
I
guys,
love
you know?
both those dudes' mentality, man. And look, Kobe, dude, again, he's my guy. But real quick, I'm just saying. You mentioned Bradley Beal and you mentioned Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
Look, these dudes, they're incredible NBA talents, right? But you would never call them top 10 in the league right now. You would never
So
even call them top 20. But you put them in the league in 1980.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dude, they're the best player in the league easily right now, hands down.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine, literally, he would jump over people and they wouldn't know how to handle him.
He's talented.
So I'm just saying, when it comes to the comparisons, I don't think it's fair to have the LeBron and Jordan comparison
yeah, I'm with
unless
you.
you like really kind of paint some criteria here
I'm
and
with
create
you.
some parameters
I'm
because
with
like these dudes are so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so different, but damn, they can both ball.
Oh, dude,
I love
totally.
them both, man.
Absolutely.
I love them both.
And you just appreciate them for
You do, you have
the
to.
art of themselves.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
ha-
their own, that's who they are. And you can appreciate
So Frank, tell us. So
Yeah.
you're with the Pelicans. How many
Yeah.
years were you with the Pelicans? Kind of lay that out a little
Yeah.
bit, like, and then kind of your path.
So I was there for 3 years, and it became a second home. Definitely, like, love that place. So unique, so different.
New Orleans is cool.
Definitely that the French Quarter and the Midtown and all these beautiful places. I lived in the Garden District. It was amazing. So I was there for 3 years, and then I bopped up to Detroit for 2 years, and then I was with the Jazz this last year, and then or
Did you
2
go-
years ago. excuse me.
and then you went and played in France for
So
a while,
that's
didn't you?
yeah. So kind of it's crazy, dude. Full circle thing again. Like when I got to France, like living in New Orleans for 3 years, even prepared me scenery wise. Obviously,
Interesting.
The emotion and the vibe was totally different.
Yep.
Of like that French culture, but I was like, oh wait a minute. I just lived in 3 years of this, but this is the real, raw, authentic version of. I was like, this is so rad.
Yeah.
So you enjoyed your time over there?
I loved it, dude, and I had the opportunity.
And that was last year?
This was last year.
Okay, cool.
I went over there in August, so it was I was at a kind of this crossroads in my career where I could have still been in the G League, still gotten called up maybe
Yep.
a couple times.
Yep.
But I really got to the point where I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you know what, man, you've given everything you could for the situation that or this path, this road that you're on.
Yeah.
Like, let's go and live somewhere where you can continue to do the thing that you fell in love with at a young age and hoop, but at the same time, what you also fell in love with was
living life, man.
living life, designing,
Yeah.
doing my art, reading, writing, and kind of transitioning full-time artist, and I hoop on the side. But simultaneously working together.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful because when I got out there, man, it was just, I was in my own world, literally. I was 5,000, miles away from where I'm from. So it was such a, raw experience of just life, yeah. And looking at it through a different lens and allowing myself to grow at the appropriate speed for which my creator has designed for me, and I think I've really fell into that.
So Frank, just having been with you just a little bit of time, and having met you before, a couple weeks ago, yeah, man, you definitely have a desire and a taste for life, man. And it's
Thanks,
funny,
man.
we talked a little bit about this this offline. You're a fashion guy. Like you are very, very much in the fashion, shoes, your whole look, And when the first time I met you, I was telling you before, shook your hand and kind of dapped you up and looked up and down, and I caught your outfit. And like I said, I've got no style at all. I told you before, Donnie dresses me. He got my closet head to toe is stuff Donnie picked.
Yeah.
And so it's like I saw your style and I was like, I didn't know what to say. It was so unique, so
man.
fashionable, so
Thanks.
so kind of out there from anything I've seen.
Thanks.
Is that so? That's what you're. I mean, again, because you're playing some ball in China too, right?
Yeah, so we'll even. I'll
But
answer
you're
that
able to
first part.
focus mainly on your art and your style and your.
Totally, man.
So walk us into what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so I have so much on my mind when it comes to like style and fashion. Like I do love it. I think it's just so. I kind of go back to this idea of, we have these things available to us by things that have people who have built it over time, obviously. And I think the more that we tap into it and enjoy that, and it's like, to me, you can wear something and say 1,000 things.
Oh yeah.
Right, without saying anything at all. And that, to me, that's powerful, man, because it connects you. It keeps people in check. It keeps people genuine and authentic, because you can feel when someone maybe has a little judgment, or not judgment, but it's like it kind of shocks them. They're like, whoa, that's a unique way to look at this thing we call life.
Totally, man.
And it's just like, it's so beautiful to me, because that's why, like you look good, you feel good, you look good, you play good,
All day.
It takes care of everything.
Dude,
So
when I hear you say that, it's funny. I think about there's a couple different scenarios in business. I remember back in the day, the old school business guys used to say, and even now to this day, so you could tell a lot by a man's shoes. Guy walks into a room who's a businessman wearing a suit, and you got nice shoes, and he's like, yeah, this dude does it, right? Versus a dude who doesn't have the right shoes on.
Yeah.
Even moreover, man, there's going to the military, right? You go in the military, it is absolutely necessary that your shoes stay polished, brother. When you are in boot camp, you got to look right.
So that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking at my boots right now.
No,
like
but
my
that's a look
artist
though.
and-
That's your look. That's your style. That's what you're doing right now.
Totally.
You're doing that for a reason. This isn't because you woke up and you got a pair of older boots and you put those on to look like that for a reason, because that's how you do life, right?
Yeah.
So talk to us, man. Are you in design? Are you pushing a line right now? Are you like, where are we at with this? Because you
think of
got to
this-
look, man.
I think of this book by Paulo Coelho. It's like it's called Warrior of Light. And he talks about how when a warrior's like kind of cooking something in the oven, he knows not to, open it up, because
Because you're gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
ruin it. So
So you got a couple irons in the fire. You want to talk about yet?
Dude, talk about the wood pile, dude. It's stocked.
That's
It's
good to
locked.
know.
It's loaded. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to be around these different industries, to look to understand how they work.
Yep.
And it's been really unique to come back into my own, and I have the freedom and the time and the space that basketball's provided me to now really go into
Go and
my
explore.
projects.
Yeah.
And that's this
another
last
passion that you
Totally.
have, yeah.
And from a young age, I've really loved a lot of things. And I think people get kind of taken back sometimes, because they are like, how can you like so many things? But then, wait a minute, you did play professionally. And wait a minute, you actually played pretty well.
Yeah.
So it kind of confuses people. But I really think the more I do these other things, so that when I do play, that's where I find the balance.
Yeah,
And
man.
like you're so present. So like some of these, my heroes, they knew when to get away, and they wouldn't go and sit. They would go and they would study. They would go and they would paint. They would go and they would read. They would, study anatomy. They would, kind of the Renaissance man, dude. And that to me has always been like the mold. And I'm like, how do I embody that and continue to use this sport as a vessel and a vehicle to get me to this destination? So I went to France last year to be like, it was a beautiful city. It's called Lyon, 2 hours south of Paris. And they call it a mini Paris. It used to be the capital of France before Paris was a thing.
Okay.
So the architecture, everything, it looks like a mini Paris, but minus the people. So it's all authentic, raw, living. And so it's the food capital of France. And so, that was one of my options. And I was like, dude, let's
could you
go.
not do that?
I was like, let's
How
go
could you
here.
not do that?
Let's
Yeah.
go here. And the fashion standard, overseas is just, it's so high. And I
Yeah.
love it, because
Yeah.
you walk outside and everyone's busting a fit. And it looks, beautiful.
A friend of mine just
simple.
went to Fashion Week in Paris. I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, 4 months ago, or something like that, and just totally blew her mind.
Yeah. Standard
That's-
just
that's
it's
the mecca.
different, and
Yeah.
the air and the culture and how they look at life. And I was like, this is so beautiful.
Did
And-
getting there inspire you to kind of jumpstart this? Because again, you had been doing this, but did it give you more inspiration?
Yeah, man.
now to,
Like, it was a real kind of leap of faith.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going over here by myself, like, chilling. Like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But like I said, kind of that fear, it turns into excitement. And that's a practice, man. Like, you really have to learn how to, take this energy that comes in, and you can either hang on to it or you can let it pass through and just live so present that you just experience and feel everything. So I was feeling so much, And then, long story short, the coach that I went over there, we had a good understanding of before I came over there, and he was gonna let me do my thing. He got canned like 3.5 months in.
Oh, wow.
So this new guy comes in. We don't really see eye to eye. And so I was feeling the vibe. I was like, we just need to part ways.
Yeah.
And parted ways, which is just, I look back, it's just such a blessing, so cool. Came home, had like 12 different offers to play in 4 different continents.
Wow.
So I'm like, where can I go to just gain more experience and, collect my shillings and, come on back home
Go
and,
catch a bag and come
and
back,
start to
yeah.
really design and bring this stuff to life.
Yeah.
Because I got the blueprint, like, the collection 1 through 5, they're there. So it's just, making this stuff. So
Love that.
I was like, let's go to China. Let's make some coin. Let's play basketball and enjoy ourselves. And like, China was I could sit here and talk to you about China for 3 days straight. Of like, every day it was quite the experience.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude. And it's like, you can't really even put it into words. I went to lunch with my buddy yesterday, Eric Mika, and he played over in China for a little bit. And we were just talking about it and just how different, the vibe and the camaraderie there is. So
Yeah.
I busted to China for like 3 months. And then it allowed me to get back mid-February.
Cool.
And now I have the time. That's what I've been doing, is really to dive more into my art and to really make things come to life.
You
So
still
it's really cool.
You
man.
still playing ball, Frank?
Oh yeah.
So
So that's the thing. Like, I plan on playing ball till, to me, like, I could talk about this all day, but like, I found a complete new love and appreciation for the game. There was a point, dude, where I looked at this thing and I freaking punted it into the sky. I was like, why? Like, this sucks. Like,
Yeah.
and it was so subtle. It was this whisper. It was like, dude, it was never me. Like, it was, the situation, the environment. It was never me. And it's like, after that, I dove even deeper into my craft. I was like, how do I get better? And it's go back to them. It's the simple things, the mundane, over, stacking those bricks, stacking those days, stacking memory, formation. Like, my thumb, I had to tie my thumb to my hand because it was getting in the way for like 2 years straight. So I couldn't, you see how far it can go back now?
Yeah.
So that took me 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So like people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to get my thumb back so I can be more, so I can become a 3-point shooter, which I would never have been.
Yeah.
But then I go to Detroit, they're like, we need you to shoot threes. I was like, what? I'm like, okay. I had to figure it out. Got to
to figure that
adapt.
out,
Got to
yeah.
adapt.
Yeah.
And so,
Are you going back to China then, or what's
so
your
this is amazing because it gave me an opportunity to play in Europe, the top league in Europe.
Yep.
It's awesome.
And then to even bust in China. To now I have options.
Cool.
I'm like, so, I'm looking. I want to play in Japan, Berlin, Australia, Italy, and just like keep soaking in all of this
Dude.
life,
Hey,
and it
cool.
just into my design, into my art, into my painting. That and it's so funny. Before this, that's what I was doing. I was just going crazy in my basement with my paint. But it just allows me, like I keep saying, to just say so many things without saying anything at all.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's up to my peers and individuals to think of what they want. But I know this guy's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That's
I'm like,
cool, man.
I'm just
That's
gonna just kind of stay to myself, do my thing.
Frank, I'll say this, man. We're almost at time, but
Oh,
I wanted
dang.
to say this. A couple things that I learned from you here, man. And I'm sure our listeners are going to eat this up. This is a lot of different places that we touched,
Yeah.
and but I'm going to tell you this, man. I think most people in life, they put their head down and they stick on the path that they're either told to stick on or sometimes against the path that they don't, or on the path that they don't necessarily want to be on. You can be in the NBA right now. You can be doing that right now. But what you're doing is embracing life and embracing what makes you happy. And dude, that's a lesson to be learned. I think a lot of times individuals, and specifically in the United States, we're all in the rat race, right?
Yeah,
we're all trying to get stuff that we don't need and probably, shouldn't have in the first place. But again, don't get me wrong, we're ambitious people. All too often, we're chasing things that aren't going to bring that happiness. And I think what's first on your mind and what impresses me most about you is that, dude, you're chasing happiness first and letting the rest of the world come to you.
Just so cool to see.
And it's a beautiful place to
That's
be.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place to
Very
be.
rare to
Yeah,
find people like
thank
that.
you. That means a
Frank,
lot.
dude, we have loved our time. I wish we had more time. We'll get you back, dude.
I
we
got
bigger
stories
Fish, I was
for
gonna say, we have bigger
days,
fish to
bro.
fry, dude. I got questions for you. We got to pick your brain. I know you got some things to say,
Yeah.
so
I
we'll
know
get you back.
Talk about Jordan a little
That's
more.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We'll have to unpack this a
Totally.
little bit.
Totally.
But dude, I even want to see how kind of your fashion,
Yeah.
your push goes along, and
Absolutely.
kind of what happens in the future. So we'll get you back.
Yeah, I'll leave with this too. I just think the more we can glorify, our own creation, and not selfishly, but in a pure, beautiful way, I think ultimately it shows our appreciation to the person who created us. And that's where I just will continue to throw myself into myself, knowing that I'm glorifying something beyond my comprehension. And I'm just so blessed for, a Father in heaven who cares for all of us and brings us and connects us together. So I appreciate you guys for being here today.
We're grateful that you're
That
able
was cool, man.
to hop on the show with
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Love that sentiment, man. We'll end there,
Cool.
and we'll catch you on the next one.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, Frank.
My man.
All right, it's a wrap.